One of the most interesting concepts in sci-fi media is the exploration of multiple universes. From Marvel to DC, and seeing superhero doppelgangers, have you ever wondered what it's like to see a parallel life laid out in front of you? Understanding parallel universes would be incomplete without some basic terminology. Let's start out with the wave function, which describes the probability of a particle on a wave. Let me show you.
Pretend there's a screen in front of me with two slits. As I hit a tennis ball through the slit on the right and then the left, we can predict its two distinct contact points on the wall.
Now let's look at this a little bit differently. Let's say I'm a light source and these tennis balls are electrons.
These electron particles will demonstrate something different from the tennis balls. There wouldn't be two distinct contact points on the wall, but rather a wave of probability of the electrons.
This is called the double slit experiment. It doesn't tell us where a particle is exactly, but the probability of where it is. Now the question is, why were these electrons creating this wave-like pattern in the first place? Here we introduce the term superposition, where a system is existing in multiple states before it is even measured. In this case, the electrons were in a state of superposition. They were actually going through both slits at the same time. Let's look at this through the famous Schrödinger cats experiment.
A cat is placed in a room with a bottle of poison. This bottle of poison is triggered to spill by a random radioactive source. When I leave the room, the cat is in a state of superposition, because until we actually open the door and see what the cat's fate is, it's both alive and dead at the same time.
It is important to note that these experiments that utilize the wave function and superposition are before they are ever observed. Now, let's actually apply this to parallel universes. The possibilities of parallel universes lies in the observed scenario. The most widely accepted interpretation is called the Copenhagen interpretation, which states that all possibilities just collapse into one.
If we go back to the double slit experiment and look behind the screen to observe an electron's specific position on the wall, the wave function would collapse, which means what we observed is the true position and all possible realities on the wave cease to exist. Once we open the door and see the cat is alive and well, that is our only true reality.
You might be pretty convinced that parallel universes just don't exist, but let me introduce you to the many worlds interpretation. Contrary to Copenhagen's, the many worlds interpretation states that the realities that Copenhagen erased are still there. Just because we didn't observe it doesn't mean they don't exist. They just exist in parallel universes. Of course, these are still theories. You can choose to believe any other interpretation out there. For me, it's almost comforting that the many worlds theory presents this infinite amount of realities.
Someday, I'd love to jump to another universe, meet my doppelganger, see what different actions led to different outcomes.
But I think I'll just stick to knowing the infinite possibilities that are out there. Because, for now, let's just stick to making this the best parallel universe it can be.